Torturing myself on a daily basis has become my favorite pastime, which is why for the last 4 years straight I've done nothing but envelop myself in the SCP lore. A valiant effort indeed, but there's reasons beyond glory that I've been inflicting myself with such pain. And if there's one thing I've come across in my adventures through Satan's Alley that I can never quite wrap my dick around, it's why every single person in the SCP universe is so gosh darn evil all the time. It seems like every single person, group, and entity in the entire SCP cinematic universe wants nothing more than to destroy everything. In the over 7,000 confirmed SCPs, I can only think of like 3 that are not actively trying to make you their own personal dick lube every single waking second. Now, if you have no idea what SCP is, it sounds like I've been describing Twitter to you for the last few minutes. Unfortunately, though, I haven't. It only takes pure fiction to think of something even more grotesque and awful than Twitter. But don't worry, SCP is completely fictional. There's nothing actually worse than Twitter out there. If you don't know what SCP is, first off, I don't believe you. The only people that have never heard of SCP in the last 15 years since it first came about on 4chan are the dead and the caveman from that one Scooby-Doo episode that's stuck in a block of ice for the last 10,000 years. But if you do consider yourself dead, well, don't worry, I'm about to describe SCP to you and you'll really be dead on the inside. SCP is a collective fictional universe where people come together and write their own creepypastas called SCPs, which are monsters and anomalous objects all contained within the SCP Foundation for testing and safekeeping. The SCP Foundation also uses unwitting test subjects to experiment on with the SCPs. But before you get high and mighty, the D-class prisoners of the SCP Foundation are all death row inmates that are basically wanted for war crimes. Overseeing this carousel ride of cumtastic catastrophe is the SCP-05 Council. A council of not 5, not 6, but 13 members that oversee all activity in SCP Foundations. These enigmatic figures are as mysterious as they are bad at counting. Ranging from really old people to really British people, these puppet masters work behind the scenes to orchestrate most SCP activities. They're like the middle management of the entire SCP universe, unbelievably full of themselves when in reality nobody gives a shit about them. The SCP universe has its own Hunger Games-esque Robin Hood faction that tries to take on the big bad oppressive SCP Foundation, and it's called the Chaos Insurgency. But unlike Jennifer Lawrence, the Chaos Insurgency isn't here to have sex with a bunch of boys and be pure of Christian heart. Instead, they're really only interested in blowing shit up, and any and all people that they take from the SCP Foundation, including prisoners and test subjects, they just torture for evidence. There's literally nobody good in this universe. A full tour of the amuse-bouche of disgust that is the SCP universe would be incomplete without looking at the horrendous corner of SCP-001. Now, you may be interested what SCP-001 is. Unfortunately, we'll never truly know. On one fateful day, the SCP community decided to be original for once, and instead of having SCP-001 be any distinct and definitive SCP, SCP-001 is a collection of proposals that are meant to include the real SCP-001. These range from things like SCP-001 When Day Breaks, an apocalyptic scenario that makes the sun melt all flesh it touches into a gigantic pulsating organ, to things like the Gate Guardian, no, not the Yu-Gi-Oh card, but a gigantic fire angel. Now, if it sounds like what I just described to you is the butthole of fanfiction.net rejects, then you're absolutely right, it is. May I introduce to you the toaster that makes you think you are a toaster until you eat so much bread that you explode or electrocute yourself in an electrical socket. And if for some reason that doesn't sound like a fun Sunday to you, may I introduce to you SCP-096, also known as Shy Guy. He's your average looking Redditor, but unlike your average Redditor, this guy will actually go outside and track you down wherever you are to ban you from the subreddit of life. In all seriousness, he vores you completely until there's nothing left. Like I said, he is your most socially adjusted Discord moderator. And if that doesn't rock your jimmies yet, allow me to introduce to you the first ever SCP, SCP-173. Spawned from the cesspool of 4chan itself, it came about from what I could only assume was a direct injection of heroin to the brain. This Amy Schumer stunt double does nothing all day except literally shit itself everywhere on the floor, and if you turn your back to it, it'll instantly teleport behind you and kill you. As alluded to by the toaster before, not even average household appliances and objects are safe from SCP classification. Allow me to curse you with the knowledge of SCP-7143, a sexy doorknob. Fun fact about the sexy doorknob SCP, it schismed irreversibly the entire fanfic community of SCP and nearly completely destroyed the wiki.website that hosts everything. Yes, you heard me right, there's a reality out there where a sexy doorknob ended completely the SCP universe. Every day I weep, not for what we've lost, but what we could have lost. There are even SCP articles for Dream Minecraft and Amogus the video game. No, I have not read those articles. No, I will never read those articles. Stop telling me to read those articles. One of the greatest sins committed to God by the SCP fandom is how complicated everything is. If you're currently looking at the image on screen, you may also be praying to your God as to what the hell you're even looking at. No, what you're looking at is not the lore to Five Nights at Freddy's, no matter how similar it looks. Instead, it's the average flowchart one takes when trying to classify any SCP item. See, every SCP item has a designation that ranks from safe to other words that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce, which indicates how contained an SCP item is. The only thing more difficult to understand in this flowchart is how anybody would bother wasting their time in this godforsaken fandom. But like BDSM, there are some endearing qualities about the SCP universe that really makes my dick shed a tear. And if you're a regular viewer of mine, you might be wondering to yourself who this bright and cheery, long-faced, pure masculine personification of glory is, and what he's done to the normally dour and glasses-wearing Wyatt. Well, worry not, because I am actually Wyatt. I know it may shock you, but me transforming into the sheer epitome of happiness and perfect good looks was due to me being blessed by the visage of an angel that not only cured my blindness and afflicted me with eternal happiness, and also doubled my dick length and put hair on my nipples. That's right, my dick grew 3 whole inches. But in reality, the reason I'm so happy is because of SCP-999. Out of all of the thousands and dozens of SCPs I've read, SCP-999 is really one of the only ones that isn't objectively evil. However, that rolls into my next topic, the true evil of the SCP universe, the SCP community. For the love of God and for everything that is holy, I hope that you've never ever Google searched SCP-999 Rule 34. And if for some reason you don't know what Rule 34 is on the internet, then you truly are one of God's cherubs, and I hope your innocence lasts forever. And for those of you that have stuck through this creative enema of a fanfic, I applaud you. Anyway, I can go on and on about vending machines that think you're their mortal enemy if your name is Joe, or a doctor with no medical degree that wants to turn everybody into zombies. But that's all I really wanted to talk about, so I think I'll leave it there. Bye-bye.